Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Talk Lit, a podcast where we look at the unique factors influencing one's Chinese Singaporean identity. I'm Odilia and I'll be hosting this podcast. So in the previous episode, after looking at how interracial Singaporeans view their Chineseness, today we're back to look at another factor that might affect one's Chinese Singaporean identity, which is religion. So we're really happy to have with us two special guests today, Ferdaus and Ting Han, to share more about their journey and how religion has influenced their Chinese Singaporean identity.
Hi, I'm Ting Han. I'm a youth worker at Singapore Youth for Christ. So what we basically do is we reach out to youths, and then the main things I do is I go down to polytechnics and then I talk to students lah. So be it Christians, non-Christians. If it's Christians, then we do Bible study. If you're non-Christians, then we share the gospel to them. So yeah, how I got acquainted to being a Christian, I actually was brought up in the church when I was young. But my father just brought me to church. So I guess that's how I became one.
Cool. I'm Ferdaus, 36 years old. I'm working full-time corporate communications. So formerly I was a Catholic, brought up as a Catholic, and after that around 2014, that would be, I don't know how old I am. After a certain time, you don't count your age. Then that's when I started to get acquainted with Islam and reading about it and then embracing it afterwards. I guess I never thought I would embrace Islam. I'll start off like that because as a Catholic back then, I was going for Sunday catechism classes, study, have the Bible study and everything, go for Sunday Mass. I had a firm belief that, Jesus is God. That was my belief then. But afterwards, I started to question a lot about what the church taught me, look deeper into the Bible, and that's when my faith wavered and started to question a lot about what I was taught. I became an atheist after that. Like, didn't want to believe in a religion. But when my grandma passed away, that's when I really thought there's someone higher than me, and it must be God. And I didn't want a religion to tell me who that God was. I was just walking around, just wanted to be happy, make everybody happy, and that's life for me. When I met my colleague who's Muslim, she asked me to look into Islam because we kind of having feelings for each other, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And then after I went to the Convert Center to understand more about Islam and reading the Quran, then I realized actually Christianity and Islam, we are not that far apart. It's only at the end where something changed. And that's when I started to also question God. I actually tested God and I felt He answered me, and then I came to Islam from that point. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. So for Ferdaus and Ting Han, what would you say are the roles of religion, of Islam and Christianity in your lives?
Religion is a central part of my life, even when I was a Christian back then, because I feel that religion grounds you to your morals. It has a basic form of structure to teach you what is right and what is wrong. It gives you a picture of the afterlife so that you know what you're striving for in this world and give you purpose for why you're here, right? I feel in life, when you have discipline, when you have structure, you're able to excel better. So the same thing in life, we are reaching a goal at the end, and for us, we believe in the afterlife, we believe that heaven is where we're going to be, and there's some message behind how you get there. So that's how important religion is. Yeah.
How about you?
I mean, religion itself, it's interesting, at least to me, how I considered it an important part in the decision making that I make. Like if without religion, I think I would just do whatever things I like to do. So having this Christianity in my life, at least, it keeps me in check. It allows me to redefine what I matter most, at least to me. And it helps me to make decisions that I want to do in order to honor God and do right in terms of the things in front of men.
So now that we have talked a little bit about religion, we'll look at the Chinese identity aspect now. So for the both of you, what Chinese cultural influences do you have growing up? And do you still have these Chinese cultural influences in your lives now?
You want to go first?
Sure. I mean, the younger one can go first. So, from what I can remember, I'm like a second-gen Christian. So, I think I used to go to the temple whenever there are festivals. And then in the temple, you would offer some stuff like offerings or like hold joysticks and then you pray to the temple gods for I don't know either grades or money, prosperity, peace, love, happiness, this kind of stuff. I also remember my family, they used to want to do what 扫墓 and go and respect the ancestors and then pay the respects to them. So those are the things or traditions that I at least remember. But to be honest, I haven't been doing them ever since I got to church. So it's been a long time. I don't even know the exact dates or what I must do or what I would have to do. Even in funerals, right? I've not been to a lot. I've been to substantial, but most of it are like Christians' funerals. So those, they are of a different religion, like the Taoist or Buddhist funerals. I think there are like some chantings, but I don't participate in them. So I have no idea how to compare with a Christian one.
That's cool.
What about you?
Back then, very liberal as a Catholic, because I was taught that these are just traditions that people have in their culture. We follow it doesn't mean you 100% need to believe in every aspect of it. So the action of just following is just out of respect. You're doing it like going to the funeral, holding a joystick. A joystick is different.
Oh, really?
It's
What's the game?
Sorry, joystick. Okay, I didn't really. I mean, even burning the hell notes, all this. It was like a cultural tradition back then. I don't even know really why we do it, but mainly I know that we do it out of respect, out of our ancestors. We are doing certain things, so I didn't really question it. But when I came to Islam, that's when we were clearly identifying the difference between what is religion and what is cultural difference. So then we know certain things we can do and certain things we don't do.
Actually, Ferdaus, I'm quite curious. So now you have a Muslim name, right? Like Ferdaus is your Muslim name. Is there like a Chinese translation of it?
No.
Okay.
So when you become a Muslim, you don't have to change your name. You can keep your name as Harold. You can keep your name as whoever. Chinese name as well. But I chose that because I want to emulate like certain qualities of the Arabic word Ferdaus, which is actually the name of the highest heaven. So I can't translate the name of the highest in Chinese. So it's a bit fun like, for Ferdaus. I don't know.
So on your IC, is it still Harold?
Yeah. So yeah.
From your YouTube channel or Instagram, I see that you're like a middleman selling the Chinese translated Quran. And then even on your YouTube channel, you upload like halal recipes of Chinese traditional food like tang yuan, yu sheng and all that. So can you share with us like why you're doing this? What's the intention behind all these efforts?
Yeah, so mainly because in Singapore, my impression is that we tend to mix the difference between culture and religion too much. That we can't really see that you can still do your tang yuan and it's still a Muslim doing it and Muslims can eat it, right? Or you can still do your mooncake and everything. So you still keep your traditions as a Chinese, you still keep your culture as a Chinese. Only things that are related to like praying to a god or something that you're trying to worship something else other than the god you believe in, then that's something we put a red line, no for that. So when I share this, I'm hoping that people can see the difference between a religious practice and the cultural practice, so that we have better understanding with our fellow Singaporeans who are, why they can do certain things, why they can't do certain things. And also, we have a lot of converts to Islam. On average, if I'm not wrong, it's about 600 per year. I think this year is 800. That's what someone in the organization told me before. So they need some sort of book to read, you see. And most of the books here in Singapore, you see it in Malay and Arabic or English and Arabic. So you have the Arabic, which is the original text and the translation. But you don't really find a lot of the Chinese text. So when I source it from Malaysia, they actually have all this. So I bring it to Singapore. So hoping that they can have at least this source of knowledge to have this book with them at home. Yeah.
You mentioned the concept about how I think in Singapore people get confused with like culture and religion. So have you faced any kind of stereotypes because you have like a non-Chinese religion?
Yes. So the stereotype is you join Islam means you're Malay. In this Southeast Asian context, in Europe you will be an Arab, or you would be a Turkish. So the thing is, Islam is like a religion for a universal religion for all race. You can adopt your culture into Islam as long as it doesn't go against the primary teachings of what Islam is. Having said that, in Singapore, because of this stereotype, what are the issues we face is usually when I go to buy food at a Chinese store, they straight away talk to me in Malay because I have a beard. Like, but Chinese can grow beard also. Some of us can grow. So I will say, speak to them in Chinese, and then they will say, how come you can speak Chinese? I say, I'm Chinese, ma.
You mean like just base, like they look at you, then they just speak?
It's just based on look, like first physical look, yeah.
Okay.
So they will speak to me in English, and then I will speak to them in Chinese because I practice my Chinese, my Mandarin, and then they say, how come you can speak Mandarin? I say, because I'm Chinese, I'm born Chinese. And then after that, they say, oh, I didn't know but you're Muslim, right? I say, yeah, Muslim is the person who believes in Islam, and you can be any race.
Yeah, I think especially given your identity as Chinese, like ethnically Chinese, that puts you in a very special position to be able to advocate for your religion as an Islam, but at the same time adapting it to like Chinese cultural practices.
Yeah. So like for my wedding itself, I have the traditional Muslim wedding, we call it the nikah, and then I have Chinese tea ceremony. So we have the Chinese culture there. My wife and me will kneel down before our parents, right? With tea, and then after that we have the so-called like Western one a bit. So we do a bit of a fusion. Yeah, so beautiful. What a mix of all that rojak.
Yeah. So how is celebrating Chinese New Year for you like?
Chinese New Year same. So only thing is, they will have their non-halal food like they have, usually they have bakwan and all that. So I'll just bring my halal food there and just spend time with them, eat my own halal food, but then we still have talk over TV, how catch up and things. So same.
So now we look at, for you, Ting Han, so you attend a Chinese congregation, right?
I do.
In church. Was it since young or?
I was since young.
Okay, so do you feel that language plays a part in how you relate to your faith?
I think so. Like especially in a Chinese kind of family, when I talk to my parents or my relatives, they're like, hey, what is this 西方的宗教, which is from Western. And then I think they don't understand that, like, similarly Christianity can be like for anyone, and you're just ethnically Chinese. So yeah, I think that's the only thing that I think affects the thing.
So,
one thing funny, because they always think it's 西方的宗教, right? When actually Christianity started in Palestine. I would say in Middle East, right? So it's a Middle Eastern religion, right? But in a sense, people have this impression that it's from Europe or something.
Right. Yeah. Maybe the history part is there.
Maybe you say it's a Middle Eastern religion, they say, huh? You go more confused.
Exactly. I mean, most of our ancestors are from China, that's why they're like this kind of thinking.
Right. So, like going to a Chinese church, do you feel that there are some like Chinese traditional values that are being displayed in how the church like organizes its members or like runs the service? Because my parents, they attend a Chinese church, and I realized that a lot of the times where there are maybe some tensions or conflicts, they tend to not talk about it or raise it up to the elders because they feel that it's disrespectful, or maybe for Chinese, it's like you cannot 撕破脸.
Actually, yeah. So there's a lot of things they don't want to tell people, like they don't want to air the dirty linen or laundry outside and let people see. So when they have disagreements, they usually talk it out in their board, so elder deacon's board, and we focus on the family a lot. So I think as a Chinese or the values in the Chinese family, that's what they exhibit and show when people go to the church. Especially my Chinese church. So you can see it's made up of many different small families, and they would usually make friends with one another, and then it's like a big family, at least in how it's structured, how it's portrayed, and perhaps even how they want the members to treat other people. So as part of like a family kind of treating. But I can appreciate the closeness that the members show to one another. That's what I think. Chinese churches have it's the special part of Chinese church that you can't find anywhere else.
So the emphasis on relationships, would you say?
Yes. The more 亲切 kind of 感觉, I would say.
Do you meet with any stereotypes because you subscribe to a non-Chinese religion?
To be honest, nowadays not as much. Like most of the people I talk to, they are very accepting of other religions. Even my family members, they kind of know what we are doing as a Christian. So even if they're like Buddhists, they're Taoists, they generally accept other religions. Because most of my family, they stay in Malaysia. So they are already exposed to like Muslims, Taoists, Buddhists. and Christians are also there, but I think they are a smaller part. So they're a bit more accepting nowadays.
Now we want to like look at how race and religion sort of conflict in Singapore. So do you feel that there has been any conflict for the both of you between you being a Chinese and your religious practices and identity?
I think Ferdaus, you mentioned about the joss stick thing. So it's like paying respect to, or like praying to other gods. That's like for a Christian, that's a no-go, right? Because there's only one true God. So that would be the main point of contention for Christianity.
There's not a lot of cultural difference. The interesting thing I would say is Islam came to China first before Malaysia. So the Chinese brought Islam to Malaysia, which means it's not a Malay sort of religion. If you even look back, it would be very Chinese. So if you go to China, you can find Chinese cultural mosque, which is the Chinese temple looking one, but it's actually a mosque. So having said that, Islam is in that sense adaptable to the different cultures. Believe in one God, that's the main bottom line, and there's like no images of God. So that's all.
I mean, I'm just thinking another one. As a Chinese, you should like pay respect to family members, to the elders. It's pretty much similar. The part where I think is different, or rather from traditional Chinese family, at least from the Taoist side, is that you must do good deeds to earn your salvation or get reincarnated, which is totally different from what a Christian would do, because there is no way for us to get away sin. Like sin can be taken away only by Jesus, at least to the Christians.
Yeah, so from what I'm hearing, there seems to be like some common ground between, let's say, like the Chinese culture, especially the values part, and with like Christianity and Islam. It's just the part about not praying to, let's say, like our ancestors, but to like God Himself. And I think also the part about doing good, like Chinese also emphasize a lot about 积德, right? Like, to do well, to do good. Yeah. So I think to wrap up today's conversation, for both Ferdaus and Ting Han, can you all share what makes your identity as a Chinese Singaporean, Muslim and Christian unique in Singapore's like multi-religious, multi-racial context?
How does it make us unique?
I think it's more unique for you. Like, I don't see a lot of Chinese Muslims. At least for Chinese Christian, there are quite a few. I mean, sizable amount that I think it might not be the majority. So in the context of Singapore, it's interesting that we have so many different races, so many different ethnicity and religions. So uniqueness-wise, I think not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of uniqueness or being special. Probably Christians in Chinese-speaking churches are like the smaller part of people in Singapore, because most of them would speak English, and then naturally they just go to English-speaking churches.
Yeah, I would say unique. Yeah, like he say, I guess because it's not a common sight here to see Chinese Muslim. Or you do see them, but you don't know they're Muslims.
Right.
I guess as a society, Singapore is we know there are different cultures, but we have not truly, exchanged a lot of interfaith kind of discussion where we understand each other better. And also there's not a clear guideline on what is a religious thing and what is just a cultural thing. So I think with this knowledge that we can share will help people to bridge a lot of gaps and know what is the difference and why we can respect each other better from knowing the difference. Because now we are mostly like I think this is Muslim, or I think this is Islam, or this is Christianity, right? We just think based on what we see on TV, based on what we hear from friends. Those are just we don't really Google them and do deep research on them.
Yeah, so I think with that we've come to the end of the podcast for today. Thank you Ferdaus and Ting Han for joining us to talk about how religion and the Chinese identity intersect. And I think from today's conversation, it seems that there's a common misconception perhaps in society where people tend to conflate these two. But actually, if we do our research, we read up, we realize that both can exist at the same time. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast episode, and we'll catch you guys in the remaining 2 episodes on education as well as naturalized Singaporeans. Bye bye!